You are welcome to yet another episode of HN What's Your Say? The #1 listening show, where we discuss real issues with real people like you. We are still featuring R. Kelly. Real name Robert Sylvester Kelly. Also known as the R&B King. It's now 5 years since R. Kelly was arrested in 2019 while walking his dog on the streets of his homeland Chicago. The place where he was born and grew up, inspired by great musicians such as Stevie Wonder, and of course Michael Jackson. His music teacher, who goes by the name Lena McLin, was quick to detect that R. Kelly was a talented musician at an early age, and encouraged him to spend more time singing than playing basketball. R. Kelly took her advice, and in his early 20s, he was already a renowned artist singing with the Public Announcement Band. He rose quickly to fame when he did release great songs such as I Believe I Can Fly and Storm Is Over, later singing at some of the world's biggest events such as the Super Bowl halftime, and later at the World Cup opening. R. Kelly was an unstoppable singer and songwriter, despite his inability to read and write. He is the creative mind behind some great songs such as Michael Jackson's You Are Not Alone, and his collaboration with Celine Dion I Am Your Angel, among other great hits. Despite the great talent, the value R. Kelly has offered to the world, and of course the help and inspiration he has given to the people around him, like the world usually goes, all he has received in turn has been extortion, people taking advantage of him, companies he worked with stealing his money, the media declaring him a predator, and the courts, judges and juries serving him with wrongful convictions accompanied with prejudice of the highest degree. After spending a lot of his hard-earned money on all kinds of people, some claiming to love him and others simply blackmailing him, and of course others diligently working for him, he was made to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to the very same people at the worst time possible, when the record company he made billions for has chosen to drop him. One thing R. Kelly does understand though is that life can never be smooth, and he is taking in all this disappointment from his own people day by day. But one thing he knows for sure is that while all the money he has made can be taken away from him, his talent will always remain. That is one gift God gave him that he will surely die with no matter what. R. Kelly's talent speaks for itself. For a man who suffers dyslexia, with no real ability to read and write like everyone else, to dominate with decades of amazing music, he has to be possessing an incredible talent indeed. He turned R&B into a mass stage genre of music and managed to pull crowds with his shows just like the famous rappers. In summary, we can say R. Kelly introduced the vibe in R&B music. Almost every great artist who has been signed with Sony Records has ended up struggling in the end, but sadly, artists never seem to notice the pattern. And so more artists with great talent continue to sign with the record label. There is actually a belief going round that Sony is likely the devil artists such as Eminem be talking about when they sing the lyrics, or mention during media interviews the phrase "I sold my soul to the devil." Even Michael Jackson did say the Sony CEO, by then Tommy Mottola, was the devil himself. Whatever he meant by this. Looking at the pattern of things, however, everything makes sense. There is no way R. Kelly would be muted if it wasn't done by the devil himself. But you know what? Like the believers suggest, the devil is indeed a liar. He may take the show for now, but it's only for a while. And just like R. Kelly puts it, they may take his billions, but when it comes to his talent, this is God-given and belongs solely to him. Sony may have bought his songs, but they surely didn't buy his voice. And whether they like it or not, R. Kelly will sing again in the right time. According to Steve Hall, indeed, R. Kelly is the one and only king of R&B, and there will never be anyone like him. There are obviously many other great R&B artists, but R. Kelly is probably the most talented of all. He wrote very many songs and had remained relevant on the scene over decades, until Sony started wrestling with him. I am glad you brought up the issue of artists selling their souls to the devil. This is something they do sing about a great deal and speak about when at media interviews. In fact, Eminem used to rap about this a lot, how he sold his soul to the devil, and how he regrets it. When celebrities say they sold their soul to the devil, they are not referring to what you believe to be the devil. They be talking about the people and companies controlling them and using them as puppets. Eminem disappeared for a while and was rarely talked about, but when he came back he was incredibly different because he was forced to change and he had no way around it. Many artists remain puppets to the record companies that manage their music, and this is a big problem. By the record, whenever artists try to break away from these companies, a common example being Sony Records, they start experiencing patterns of unpleasant ordeals. And some, like Michael Jackson, never get the chance to live long enough to battle the giant company. According to Carl Johns, just in case R. Kelly is not sure what's happening out here, he needs to know that no matter what, no one is replacing him because he is irreplaceable. Damian Hall did say R. Kelly copied his style from his brother Aaron Hall. But he added the cap by saying that is before R. Kelly did discover who he truly was. And the more he became himself, the greater he became an artist. The very same way we cannot blame artists from getting whisked into signing binding contracts with the likes of Sony. At that time usually, they feel getting on board with the record company is the real deal. Until later when they realize how great their music is and how much they could have achieved on their own, then they begin to regret. It's in a way a lack of proper regulation in the industry, deliberately ignored by government because it's through these companies that the tax gets collected. Remember, the government would rather protect their tax agent than the artist. According to Florence Jackson, R. Kelly has suffered at the hand of not only the government but also the very people he loved and cared for. When R. Kelly realized these were only chopping his money and nothing else, he began to say no, and that is when they all decided to team up and lie on him. It hurts so much though to learn that the court did not hesitate to take money out of his commissary account. Money from well-wishers whose intention was to make sure his stay in prison does not become as hard as it can prove to be. If you wish to take part in a live interview on this channel discussing any of these topics, let us know by emailing us on sashahnnewsroom@gmail.com for scheduling. That is all we had for you today on HN What's Your Say? To keep updated whenever we post a new video, subscribe to this channel now. Also remember to hit the bell icon and enable notifications. And feel free to share your opinions with us in the comment section below, and let us know if you would like us to publish your views in our next release. We value all our subscribers' opinions.